Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me again today. Today, I'm going to be mentioning a few things in regards to what a person was before they were a Jehovah's Witness and the freedoms that they had in comparison to what freedoms the Jehovah's Witnesses have. Now, I say the following with all due respect. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, and you were, like they say, you were born into the Jehovah's Witnesses, you have never been free unless you broke their rules, the Jehovah's Witness leaders' rules and policies. But you have never been entirely free mentally, psychologically. And I'll show you that. That's what I want to talk about, because a lot of witnesses say, and I say this with all due respect to my Jehovah's Witness friend, my dearest Jehovah's Witness friends, because I used to think I was free. And whenever I would read that I was in a cult and that I was not free and that I was doing everything and just following the leaders and whatever they said, I would say, no, I am free. I've decided to be a witness. I've decided to refuse a blood transfusion. I've decided to always shave and keep my face clean. And I decided not to celebrate birthdays. I decided not to celebrate Christmas, Easter. I decided. I decide not to read this, not to view that. My brothers, we are lying to ourselves. Because it's not our decision we're making. We're making our decision based on what we have been taught. It's simple. Let me give you an example. If you have a son or a daughter and they see the stove and they know you know that if they come near a pan that is hot, they're going to get burnt. So you teach them, even though the child has never touched the pan, you have always taught them to never touch a pan while it's sitting on top of the stove. And since a lot of the stoves nowadays are electrical, very seldom do you see the gas ones, but they're still around. The child does not see that there's a flame and doesn't see all they see is a pan, but they don't see the heat that is being generated in that pan. So the child grows up learning that they are not supposed to touch it because you told them that it's hot and that if they touch it, they can get hurt. Well, see, it's the same thing with Jehovah's Witness leaders and how they tell people and they teach us, don't do this, don't do that, trust us, you'll get hurt. Trust us, you'll gain God's disapproval, Jehovah's disapproval. Yet, we ourselves have never proven it to ourselves. To say, you know what, let's investigate this and see if it's really true. Now, I'm not saying that the child should touch the pan and burn their hands. Okay, but what the point is that at one point or another, that child is going to become an adult and is going to inadvertently touch the pan and hurt themselves and just pretty much prove what their parents had taught them. Okay, do the Jehovah's Witnesses ever touch the pan? No. They couldn't go through life, especially if they were born in the organization, like they say. If you have been a witness all your life, you will never touch the pan because you have been taught not to. But see, you've never proven it to yourself. Chefs touch pans. They they dip their hands in their mouth and they touch it to see if it's hot and it's ready to be cooked on then. But the thing is that we lie to ourselves when we say that, oh no, I have decided not to. Nobody's told me. No, my friend, come on. You're lying to yourself. You're being deceitful with your own self. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. There have been a lot of things going on since the internet has become so popular. Now information is there everywhere at your fingertips, and the Jehovah's Witness leaders know this, and they are in dread of the internet. If they themselves could pull the plug on the internet, they would. Think about this. Really think about this. Why would, at first, would they criticize the internet and say, oh no, the internet's not good? And then they turn around and say, oh yeah, the internet's good. Now we have our website up. Now you can visit it. And then they come out with some studies saying, you got to be careful what you do on the internet, you know. Here, look, here's our website. If you want information, go to our website, you know. But the thing is this, isn't it interesting how it wasn't until they saw that the internet was not going anywhere, that the internet was here to stay, that they decided to open and create this JW broadcast? Other religions and Christendom, like they say, had been doing shows forever. But then when they saw that the internet was easier to access than, would say, a channel on TV, then they started saying, no, you know what? This is dangerous, and we can lose our flock here. So we need to do something to keep them from going anywhere else. So we're going to do some videos. We're going to start this JW broadcast. Why didn't they do that before? Now they came out with videos. Sure, they've had videos. But how come they themselves never came out and did these JW broadcasts? How come now it's more prevalent, more, you know, why have they? Because they know that the internet is going to dispel many of their teachings that are not biblical. But let's get into it here. You notice how, and again, this is only applicable if you were not raised in the organization, if you were not born in the organization. But if you were born in the organization, then in all probability you've never experienced this, and you know, unless you went outside of it. But number one, isn't it interesting how before you became a witness, you were able to read anything that was critical of any organization, any religion, including the Jehovah's Witness organization, the Watchtower, Bible and Tract? You know, you could easily pick up a paper or a book or anything and read it, and you know, and not feel guilty about reading it. You know, you were free to read and pick and view videos and anything, radio broadcasts that was critical of any religion, any organization. But now that you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're still able to do that, except to view, read, or hear anything critical of the Jehovah's Witnesses, because now you feel guilty. Now you would be told on. They will rat you out, like they say, and say, oh, looks, you know, Brother Robinson was reading something that was critical of our leaders and critical of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh my God, he's reading apostate material. Isn't it amazing how excuse me, that freedom was suddenly not there anymore? You're not free, because they have made you believe that somehow by you reading that information that You're going to turn on them and see them for what they really are. But my friend, again, if you go back to my videos, you'll see the diamond illustration. A diamond is like biblical truth. If you have it, nothing or anyone can demolish it or even dent it or even scratch it. It's the truth. It'll stand up to anything. It's that simple. Number 2, before you were a Jehovah's Witness, you were free to make medical decisions and on your medical care for anything. It was up between you and the doctor. Now you have a committee there. Now you have brothers there. Now you have family members and elders there telling you, hey, you got to be careful. You can accept anything with blood. Even if you die, even if you expire, Jehovah will be happy. Isn't it amazing how you went from doctor, do anything you have to do to save me or my child, to, yes, doctor, we cannot accept any blood transfusions or anything derived from blood, even if our lives are at risks. Isn't it amazing how that freedom, that self-preservation instinct is stripped away from you? And yet you come to believe that it's your own decision. It's not. It's not. That's something that you are made to believe is your decision, but it's not. You're not free. Number 3, you cannot no longer celebrate any holidays, which I agree, some holidays are not biblical, like Halloween, some aspects of Christmas and Easter, like the eggs, Santa Claus. These should not be included in the celebrations, but they are still Christian in nature, the celebrations. Paul said Christ was their Passover. The 3 kings came to pay respects to Christ and brought him presents, and Joseph and Mary happily accepted those presents. So long as any celebration does not defile God and is not derived from, you're not worshiping indirectly to pagans, sacrificing these things to other gods, then as long as it doesn't defile God, it's not against God. But the Jehovah's Witness leaders have put it in your mind that they are. How sad. And again, it's not your decision. It was never your decision. It's a decision that was made for you, and based on out of context scriptures. Like, for example, if you've ever seen my birthday video, Job celebrated the birthdays of his sons and of his families. It's all in the video. And I show you how the Jehovah's Witness leaders have taken it out of context and attempted to change the scriptures, have changed the scriptures to make it fit their theology. But it's clear that Job celebrated his sons' birthdays. And what does Christmas do? It honors the birth of Christ. May not be around the same date as Christ was born, but does it really matter? Because when a person gets married, if they can't celebrate their birthday on that specific date, they'll do it a week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. I've known of couples that celebrate their birthdays and anniversaries 2 months later because they never got an opportunity to celebrate it on the same date. But the fact is what the celebration means. John 5:23 says, "Those that do not honor the Son do not honor the Father." Number 4, dress and hair arrangement or beards. I agree. Some skinny jeans and some pants, and I say this, but they show a lot of stuff that us men do not want to see in other men. But again, that's up to a person's own judgment. But even on TV, I've seen some skinny jeans that show too much of another man's anatomy, if you know what I mean. I agree, some of them are not. But should skinny jeans be avoided? No. I have skinny jeans, so long as they're morally correct. We want to stick by the morals, but we don't want to be generalizing things like the Jehovah's Witness leaders do. Hair arrangement, you can wear your hair however you want to. Now, the Bible does stress that long hair is not appropriate for men. But again, it's a personal matter. That's not something that if you wear your hair long, God's going to judge you. He's not. Our hair is something that's not. Again, because all of those things were just a shadow of the good things to come in Christ. We have to remember that. But again, the beards, the beards. If you live in the United States, you are not allowed to have beards. Now, you're allowed to have them, but you can't serve in any capacity in the congregation. And in some congregations, because the elders act like bullies, they will call you out and perhaps even censor you privately because you have a beard. But interestingly enough, my brothers, if you move to the UK or to Europe, you're able to wear a beard. Yes, Jehovah doesn't like them in the US, but he likes them and accepts them in the UK and Europe. Look it up. You can look it up. And remember, if God did not want any facial hair, he wouldn't have given us any. Common sense, right? Women don't have facial hair. At least some. And forgive me, ladies, But if we weren't supposed to have it, it wouldn't be there. But yes, look it up if you don't believe me. Go on YouTube, you'll see Jehovah's Witnesses in Europe sporting these goatees and these beards, neatly trimmed, but they're there. And yet the Jehovah's Witnesses in the United States are saying, no, you're defiling God and you're going against God, and no, we're going against the Jehovah's Witness leaders' policy. Okay. Number 5. Isn't it amazing how on jw.org in the news section, you'll never see anything that is critical of the organization? Anything that makes them stand out in a bad light? Yet they'll have all the persecution and news and how they're being persecuted and this and that, but yet very important topics like the rampant child abuse cases that are all over. And as a matter of fact, Australia has already investigated and continues to investigate the Jehovah's Witnesses for over 1,000 child abuse cases that were never reported to the authorities. The UK is now looking into investigating them. The A&E channel with Leah Remini is going to do a special on the rampant child abuse within the Jehovah's Witnesses and other things, that the controlled and the totalitarian tactics. That's going to be on A&E. But see, none of this will make it to the jw.org's news section. because according to the Jehovah's Witness leaders, we are all lying and it's all apostate lies. I'm not an apostate. I believe in God. I believe in the holy word of God. I don't believe in lies of men. If that makes me an apostate, then I'll be an apostate to the Jehovah's Witness leaders. But I speak truth because I quote it directly from their Bible right here on jw.org. And I include the context. You can read the context for yourself. But it's interesting how, we're not free to do any of these things. We're not free to look at any news that are negative or contrary to the teachings of the Jehovah's Witnesses or anything of the organization. But we lie to ourselves and say we are free. We're not. Thank you for joining me today. I hope to be with you tomorrow, and please share the video with those interested, those who are studying, those that may be interested in the Jehovah's Witnesses, because their lives and their relationship with God is a risk. And I thank you. May you have a blessed evening.